Well, good day. So, for today's video, we're gonna talk about the first cartoon appearance of the dark side of Darkwing Duck. I'm talking about the original Negaduck. So, alright, let's get dangerous. Yeah, so we start off with Megavolt robbing a bank vault. But not in the conventional way. You see, he has this crazy Tron splitter thingamaroo that can split the positrons from the negatrons of anything he zaps. In this case, the door to the bank vault. And just like that, he created two different doors, a positive door and a negative door. That kind of sounds like a pretty awesome episode of Goosebumps or something. The negative door. But yeah, like Megavolt just walks right into the vault, ganks the cash, and tries to split. But Darkwing Duck somehow knew of Megavolt's plans and set up a quasi-ambush plan. Unfortunately, after a quick little skirmish, going on there, Darkwing Duck is hit by the Tron Splitter as Megavolt falls to his demise from the 90th floor. Holy crap! And somehow falling even further still into a sewer somehow saved him. How the hell does that work? Well, it doesn't really matter because now we see that there are two Darkwing Ducks. Two Darkwing Ducks, hey? Huh. That should actually be really beneficial to the city. Like, you have two crime fighters covering more area to fight more crime? Huh! Should be a win-win! But no, sadly not. Turns out one of these DWs thinks that crime fighting is too dangerous and he should stop doing it. He should do something a little less edgy, like embroidery. Whereas the other DW thinks that there is no money in crime fighting, and therefore he should be the crime maker. Later, at Darkwing's home, Drake Mallard should be angry that Goslin and Launchpad broke his favorite statue, but instead, he is understanding and compassionate, so he forgives them. Later at Darkwing's home, Drake Mallard is furious that Goslin and Launchpad broke his favorite statue. And I mean dangerously furious. And this is all really concerning to Goslin, right? Like, what's happening to her dad? On one hand, he's super nice and overly chill. On the other hand, he has murderous intent in his eyes. But things make sense after when she sees two of her dads side by side. Actually, you know what? That's more confusing than ever. Wait a second. There's two of her dad there? That should mean double allowance, right? This should be a win. Suddenly, the Muddlefoots barge into the house like they own the place, while Goslin is trying to wrap her head around her having two different versions of her dad. One is a total jerk, and one is super sweet. So having impromptu company show up, is not really good timing. Also, like, with company over, man, like, you have to get hors d'oeuvres and stuff like that. Like, I guess we could get crackers, maybe some gherkins with it too, but actually, no, we don't really have any gherkins left. So, I don't know, popcorn? Or you could say, screw this, and just kick them out. To which she does. But she asks her friend Honker to stay back because she needs his science help, which turns out to be the best decision she made because Honker gets to the root of the problem. One of these Drake Mallards is purely positrons and the other is purely negatrons. And Goslin vaguely remembers her dad saying something about being hit by a ray from Megavolt. So just like that, boom! The plan is made! Find Megavolt, get both of these Darkwing Ducks zapped together so they can both reform into the one and only original Darkwing Duck. But evil Drake Mallard traps Goslin and Launchpad in a room and puts good Drake Mallard into a dynamite-type predicament as the evil Darkwing Duck goes out and presumably to do some bad things. And yeah, this guy, he's the evil version, but he's also completely crazy. Crazy how? Crazy like jump into a movie and steal a tank from it and start attacking the city! Especially when the movie is called Cute Fluffy Wuffy Bunnies! Why the hell do they have a tank? Eventually, evil Darkwing goes to find Megavolt so he can smash the Tron Splitter. Because he doesn't want to be remerged with the good Darkwing Duck. That version of him isn't cool. The guy's a total dweeb. Bah! He wants to stay an evil duck. Back home, good Darkwing, Launchpad, and Goslin go after the Tron Splitter tool to complete the merging process with the Wimpy Duck and the Crazy Duck. But evil Darkwing gets to the Tron Splitter first, where he gets hit with more Negatrons, which galvanizes him and thusly turning him into Negaduck. And oh my god, hey, if things weren't bad enough with a evil version of Darkwing Duck, you now have that bad version with basically powers of a demigod. He's just crackling with energy and he can do whatever he wants to do with it with his mind. To which he chooses to destroy everything in his path. And it's bad, man. It's bad. You know how bad? When the bad guy, Megavolt, feels the crushing need to stop Negaduck because, if the city's destroyed, what is there for him to rob, right? This is affecting his career. So he teams up with Good Darkwing and galvanizes Good Darkwing to make him Posy Duck. He's now on the same level of power, but in a positive twist. His power can repair everything that Negaduck destroyed, including City Hall. So, of course, with these opposing powers, they will come to blows, to which the fight begins. And it is a pretty good fight, right? But, there isn't a whole lot they can do against each other. The only thing Posy Duck can really do is get close to Negaduck, so Megavolt can flip the switch on the Tron Splitter and blip! The two are merged back into one happy jerk Darkwing Duck. So the day is saved! Hooray! Darkwing Duck is back to his old self, literally. The city's damage is repaired, and Megavolt gets a taste of his own medicine when his Tron Splitter partially splits him into good and bad. So now the bad guy who wants to destroy and steal, has a more evil version of himself? That can't be good, eh? But who cares, right? That's a different episode's problem now. And with that, that is the end of this, Ducky Tale.
Hey, man, that was an actually awesome episode.
And it had a couple of different layers to it, too.
So it wasn't just a story of
Good versus evil, although technically it's a story of positive versus negative, but, kind of the same, but kind of not. But mostly it was a story of Duck versus himself.
But also not really, right? Because it's only a part of Darkwing Duck versus the other part of Darkwing Duck. You really have to wonder if you split someone's dark side with their good side, which side would be stronger, right?
But for Darkwing
Duck, they didn't math anything about it. They just went down the middle and split both sides completely even, going towards the extreme. And still, both sides are pretty dangerous, But I gotta say, the fight at the end of the episode, when Negaduck and Posy Duck were both galvanized, man, that was actually a pretty good fight. It was crazy how powerful those characters were at that point. How intensely destructive Negaduck was, and how Posy Duck's, love and, generosity fixed everything. Yay!
Man, that is a really good representation of good versus evil. Well done, well done.
I do gotta say, like, I do love those galvanized versions of those characters, and I wish we could see them more, but, you know, really, they're just way too overpowered. And who would they fight, right? Like, they would destroy anybody they went up against. Well, except for each other. So if you haven't seen this episode before, or if you haven't seen it in a long time like me, well then, I do suggest you watch it. But with that, we do have some more behind the scenes kind of things with Negaduck and some other things I can't think of going on over here.
So yes, hey, Negaduck. Pretty awesome Darkwing villain. So how did this character come to be? Well, you know, not really much to it, I guess. Just kind of keeping up with the Super Joneses. So, in the comic book world, you have a superhero, and they have a variety of different supervillains, which each have their own unique supervillain power, which usually is completely different to that of the superhero. But once in a while, you do have that supervillain who has the exact same power set as the hero, which makes it more difficult for the hero to defeat the villain, because they would be basically fighting themselves, you know? For example, you know, Superman has Bizarro, Spider-Man has Venom, Super Mario has Wario, right? Like, they're all kind of the same. So with all of the villains that Darkwing Duck has, what if he fought himself? Well, kind of, in a way, I guess. Thusly, you have Negaduck. But still, like I said before, he's not really fighting himself, right? It's only portions of him that are fighting the other portions of him. And you know, if you're a Star Trek nerd like me, you will be thinking, that's pretty similar to a Star Trek episode from the original series called The Enemy Within, where, through a transporter accident, Captain Kirk was transported into two separate people, one that has pure badness and evilness to him, and one that has pure good and, you know, goodness to him, I guess, eh? Both versions of Captain Kirk, you know, were not really effective because they were so far to one extreme that he needed to be re-merged to be one whole Captain Kirk, with all of his goodness and some of his bad impulses to make one effective captain. So, you know, they kind of really did explore that as well with Negaduck and Posiduck. Well, not completely so much so, right? They kind of skimmed the surface. But, you know, it is kind of scary to see how far an evil Darkwing Duck will go if he doesn't have that positive influence kind of reining him in. And man, yeah, like I say, like this version of Negaduck, you know, fantastic. Especially with the inverted colors near the end of the episode. Just so fantastic. And it's nice that we did get those inverted colors finally, you know, because when you originally seen this evil character, he basically looked exactly the same as the good version. But, well, let's go back to Star Trek. In the episode Mirror Mirror, when we seen an evil version of Mr. Spock, he had that fantastic goatee. And, well, you know, you really can't just put a goatee on a duck, right? Like, how do you do that? Do you put it up front on the bill? Do you put it back towards the eyes? So they figured, well, if we can't give him a goatee, maybe we just give him really bushy, evil eyebrows. Which, yeah, you know, totally did the trick. And with the end of the episode, that is the end of Negaduck. Well, the end of that Negaduck, but not for Negaduck in general. So, Darkwing Duck creator, Tad Stone, really liked this character of an evil Darkwing Duck and figured, you know, we should really bring that character back. But if we're bringing him back, you know, things have to make more sense. We just can't constantly remove the negative side of Darkwing Duck every time we want to bring this character in, so they created the second Negaduck. That Negaduck first appeared in the episode Just Us Justice Ducks, Part 1, where we find out this Negaduck is actually from an alternate reality called the Negaverse, where everybody in the Negaverse is the opposite of who they are in our reality. Well, opposite in the terms of good and evil. If you're really nice here, you're gonna be really evil over there.
To make this Negaduck really stand out in comparison to Darkwing Duck, they give him the same uniform, but with a completely different color palette. That Negaverse Negaduck basically has the exact same characteristics as the Negatron Negaduck that we see in this episode, right? Just totally crazy, totally bad, wants to destroy everything. So a really good, rebirth of the same character. But for that Negaduck, we'll talk more about him when we get to him. And for this Negaduck, well, that's pretty much all we got with him. So, with this, that, those, and the other things, I guess that's that. Also, if you're interested, I created my own comic book channel, 215 Comics. And currently, I have created my own cartoon series, The Adventures of the Density. And recently started a radio series featuring my newest character, Elastomorph, with more titles to come. So if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link up top here to that channel and some links at the end of the video. Yay! Right on, and there you go. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it as much as I did making it. Also, feel free to check out the source material that I featured in this video. And if you want to leave a comment on anything you may have liked or things I might have missed in this, feel free to do so. Or anything else, just to say hi. That's cool too. And other than that, have a great day. Thanks.